gosh, honestly, I'm so happy. I always say this, obviously, we have dialogue before. We've never actually met in person,
No.
but when I get on the calls, I'm like, I actually feel like I know these girls. It's brilliant. And that's what we want. So
Aw.
how's your Friday so far before we get into loads to talk about?
My Friday has been wild because I actually have my daughter on a Friday.
Yes.
So and also from last week, which I'm sure we'll talk about as well, everything's sort of exploded this week. It's a really good week to be talking to you. It's a very exciting week, but it means I'm playing catch up whilst juggling the kids.
Yes, aren't we all? The juggle is real.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, it's nice and sunny. We're feeling the spring.
Mm.
And I'm a real, obviously, I'm seeing it a lot now, but obviously, when the new year is like in January and it's cold and it's drab, and everyone's like, new year, new me. I've always been like, no, I'm not feeling these vibes. Now is the time. The sun's out. We're getting slightly longer days. The trees are blossoming. And doesn't it have that direct impact? Like, this feels like a fresh start.
Yeah, I agree with you. In January, I am not new year, new me. I'm so miserable in January. I actually made a pact with myself before kids when I was
Yeah.
freelance that every single January I'd be away.
Mhm.
And I was really lucky that I was able to do that. But now, obviously, you've got kids, you've got school, and my husband can't work away. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know. But it just sort of puts quite literally a spring in your
Mhm.
step. So once again, thank you so, so much, Jasmine. Obviously, we've got your partner in crime, Amber, on in a couple of weeks. You jumped the queue ahead of her slightly. So I'm really looking forward, obviously, to speaking to you, to speaking to Amber, because I know you're doing some collab and partnership stuff together. There's tons to talk about, and I'll try and cram it into the hour because I really just want to pick your brains. And really, the idea of these conversations is, yes, to inspire, obviously, hear your story so it inspires others. But really, for women, I really want women to look at these conversations and be like, God, if she can do it, so can I. She looks like me. She sounds like me. And, all of these women I find, and this is the reason why I'm doing this, is there's some incredible women like yourself doing some incredible things on the ground, but we just haven't got that spotlight full on women like you. So we need more of it, incredible women in business who haven't got these huge followings, huge investments, huge safety nets. It's like, you don't need all of that. Like, just a little bit of grit, a little bit of audaciousness,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you can go a long, long way. So, as I said, loads to talk about. For anyone that doesn't know Jasmine, just a very, very quick introduction to Jasmine. Jasmine is creative director and brand strategist for SMEs, really emerging brands and specifically female founders. And you've quite literally built your business from the ground up, from these really humble, difficult beginnings to what is now what you're seeing is this consistent high cash months with your clients, your set of clients really achieving these incredible, quite literally transformational results. So you're the creator of this 1% Edge method, which we're going to dig into because I really want to get into that, and the 1% Edge Mastermind, which is really these 12-month programs really designed to move female founders from invisible or being just like everybody else to really, in your words, this globally iconic status. 2025, you were awarded Most Magnetic Personal Brand. Just that, thank you. You are also obviously a super proud mummy who I feel is unapologetically rewriting what business ambition looks like, specifically for women like us. So obviously we've got the high profiles like the Emma Greedy, she's doing the rounds at the moment, which is fabulous to see, but we're doing some great work on the ground as well. And I'd say, in my opinion, obviously I've been following you for a while now, you are the perfect example, Jasmine, of someone who I feel has got this pretty cool portfolio career. You've identified what your unique set of skills are and you're applying them accordingly. So, as I said, from your 1% Edge method to your creative consultancy to now speaker gigs and events that you're doing to your 6-week strategic programs, you're not just sticking yourself in a box and going, I'm just going to stick in this box and this lane and do that. We're seeing women like yourself now going, I can apply these skills and it can be applied across multiple lanes simultaneously because that's what I'm good at. So I'm going to do all of it. And it's really, really lovely to see. And again, I want that to be a little bit of inspiration to go, well, I've only just got one job and this is all I've done. And it's like, no, no, no. we're rewriting what that looks like. That doesn't need to be the way anymore. So, loads, 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 loads. Let's start. So before I get into all of the business, all of your incredible work in the business world and everything you've built, I just want to go right back to the beginning, if you don't mind, Jasmine. And you've been quite open on your content when I was doing some research in and around your journey. And you've been quite open about particularly your early beginnings. And it wasn't plain sailing, it was very humble, not much money. I can relate to that. Parents getting divorced, suffering, in your words, toxic relationships. So it's not been plain sailing. And I think it's really, really important when we're doing this spotlighting of women like yourself that they understand that where you are now hasn't come easy. So I just want to sort of dig into that for a couple of minutes in your own opinion, and hopefully all of that's right, Jasmine, what I've said. But what was home like growing up for you, I'd say?
Yeah, I think this is such an important thing to talk about. And I always speak about this, and I am an open book because especially coming from the film industry, obviously we'll talk about that as well. But I wanted to go into the film industry. And when I did, I just found that I was surrounded by an enormous amount of privilege. I gave a talk last week about this actually, and it's something like, 80% of jobs in the film industry will never be advertised because it's who you know.
Wow.
Like they'll literally just be
Wow.
like, I'm pulling together this feature film, I'm doing this big production, but like, do you know this person? Do you have this person? So when you're in that industry with like, it's who you know, not what you know, that's an enormous amount of privilege. And when I went to film school as well, there were probably like 60 to 80 people on my course, 20 of which were women. And I was surrounded by women whose dad was the director of Harry Potter, or the production designer of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, or, Goldfrapp's niece, or, like all of this stuff
And
that
you're
I was
like,
surrounded by.
oh, he's here. Why am I here?
Literally, and I will talk a bit more about that. But in order to like really understand the reason why I share my story and I talk about everything that I do is because I came from like a working class background. Well, it was kind of mixed actually. It was working and middle because I had
Mhm.
divorced parents.
Okay.
So my parents divorced when I was 6, and since that time I had 2 really bizarre upbringings in
Mhm.
different
Mhm.
kind of areas, and it wasn't like plain sailing at all. My parents lost their house at one point. My mum lost her house at one point. We just didn't grow up with much.
Yeah.
And I was bullied at school. My mum actually fell in love with a woman at one point, which was back in when was that? Like the 90s? And
Yeah. There's not much visibility in the 90s, was there?
there was not that visibility. And so, that was weird. And I was, bullied for that, bullied for having divorced parents, and bullied for being a little bit different. I think I was really sensitive. And I do talk about this now. I'm late diagnosed ADHD. I've recently been diagnosed with ADHD. And I feel like that's a lot of where my sensitivity comes from as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was challenging growing up. I smoked a lot of weed. I didn't.
Love that. Just to get the chilled vibes,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
spent I spoke like so much I ended up hospitalized when I was about
Wow.
17, like it was
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
interesting upbringing in that way. And to be honest, it led me to believe that I was never going to amount to anything, or that I couldn't do anything, or I didn't even have ambitions really. I just thought, I'll just get a job, whatever happens. That's kind of it.
Mine, just to relate a little bit, so I was the same, council estate, Lancashire girl. I wasn't surrounded by ambition or corporate or business. People like us don't end up in business and those skyscrapers in London.
Yeah.
We're labourers and that's what we do. And I was very much, no, this isn't for me. Not in an arrogant way, but I'm like, I don't fit in this world. I need to go. I didn't know what that looked like, and I still don't now, but I knew that that environment wasn't for me,
Yeah.
and I needed to go. And I think, you might relate to this, but coming from humble, not very much money financially, surrounded by love. I was inundated with love, and you can be anything, Joe, you can do anything. I had all of the love and support in the world that I could be anything I wanted. Financially, there was nothing there. Do you think coming from that sort of background gives us that tenacity and that grit today as women that we are now, do you
Oh,
think?
yeah. Yeah, it's like I always talk to my husband about this. My husband had a completely different upbringing. It was very, like, stable, middle class, and that's amazing. Like, I love that. Um I'm not saying anything about that, but it's like I'm always saying to him that we can do whatever. Like, we can literally do whatever. We
Yeah.
could, like, I mean, we built our own patio, brick wall patio situation recently because I was like, the world is our oyster, Sam. We can literally go on YouTube and, like, figure
Yeah.
out how to, like, lay bricks and mix
Yeah.
concrete and do this, and this. And I think it's because when you come from that kind of background, you have to make it on your own. You have to, like,
Yes.
I said this again in my talk, like, you can't out-resource people in this
Mhm.
industry when you're from nothing. Like, you do not
Mhm.
have the resources, you do not know the people, but you can learn and you can, like, the reason why I'm so passionate about branding and positioning is, like, you can outshine, you can, like,
Yes.
be your best version, and
Yes.
that's, like, your superpower, right?
Yeah, yeah. So going back to your example when you were in the film school and you're surrounded by Harry
Mm.
Potter directors, like, did you feel inferior at that point? Did you feel imposter syndrome? Did you feel like I don't belong here?
Yeah, 100%. I actually, before I went to film school, I applied for one university only. I did not know that that university was one of the top in Europe for film. I'd never made a film before. I don't know what I was thinking, actually.
It's that naivety and yeah, let's just go for that.
It was naivety. I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to apply. Like, I was really lucky. I had amazing tutors when I was in college. I did photography, and they were like, I think you should be in film. And so I applied for this film school, but a friend of mine, who was a man, said, you're never going to get in there because we had a mutual friend whose dad was a film director. And he was like, and that person has actually applied for that film school. So, like, I just don't want you to get your hopes up. Like, you're
Okay.
not going to get in. And honestly, like, when he said that to me, I just actually thought this is really, like, coming from the heart here. I actually thought, I'm gonna fucking prove you wrong.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, I'm just gonna go all guns blazing, and fine, if I don't get in, then, like, fine, you were right, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do my utmost to get in.
Yeah.
So I did, and my mum took me. I remember this so clearly. I've never been more nervous in my entire life. Also, I'm the first in my entire generation of family to go to uni. And I went there, and I was so lucky that the person who interviewed me was this flamboyant, gay Spanish.
Love it.
And I was just talking about Pedro Almodovar, who is this, I don't know if you know him, but he is my absolute inspiration. He is a gay Spanish film director. And I was like, all of my photography is about this. I love him. I want to be him. I want to make films like him, all of this kind of stuff. We just really clicked. And I think that because I had this
Yeah.
weird, because
Uniqueness.
yeah, uniqueness. And I had this weird passion and hobby. I was watching these Spanish films at 12, and I was like, I'm just going to bring everything I've got in me,
Right.
and they're either going to like me or not.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously they did.
I did feel huge imposter syndrome when I got there. Really did. Yeah.
And how did you deal with that? Obviously quite young, obviously been bullied, not been easy. Obviously, as you said, quite a sensitive person.
Mm.
How'd you deal with something like that? Is it just perseverance and putting our big girl pants on and going, no, I've earned my place just as much as you do, and having those talks with yourself?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's pulling on your big girl pants. It's like a hell of a lot of support from my family, on the phone, a lot being like, I'm not meant to be here.
Yeah.
But, and then there's a toxic side of it where I was seeking validation from people I shouldn't have been, like, getting into relationships that I shouldn't have been getting into because I had a crutch, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And again, external validations are really,
Yeah.
you're constantly, instead of just looking in, going, no, I'm really proud of myself and I'm doing this for me and I'm setting my own goals and intentions. The moment you start benchmarking your success against others, it's just no, let's start moving away from there. But that's work. That just doesn't happen. That's the society we live in, and this constant comparison. Obviously, you've had this uniqueness and you've embraced it, and it's allowed you obviously to go into film school. What was your venturing into business? Where did that start? So moving into business, where did it start professionally for you, Jasmine?
Yeah, so when I left film school. I actually left with an agent, which is like when you're a singer and you get signed.
Wow, okay.
So I left with a film agent and some awards under my belt. So that was pretty, like, it was mind blowing. But I went to London, and I think again naively I was like, and I'm going to get signed and make these films. It's gonna be amazing. And just didn't
Brilliant.
happen. And I ended up on Job Seekers in London, so I was on benefits, trying to get a job, but unable to get a job. And then thought, do you know what? If I can just approach people and say, do you want a video? Like approach corporates. And I thought, if I just pick the events space, like an
Okay.
event space, if I approached them and said, do you want me to come and film, like, an evening or something? Then I could maybe work my way in there whilst building up my portfolio of becoming a filmmaker. I wanted to be a documentary filmmaker. And I basically was on Job Seekers for a year. The first video that I sold was like through who, like asking so many people to put the word out there. And somebody got back to me and said, yes, I'll pay you £140.
It's a sale.
I was so excited.
Yes. So you should be.
I was so excited. I was so happy. I put my heart and soul into this event video that I made. But yeah, that was really the beginning of it. And then because it was corporate, people just started asking more and more if I wanted to create content for them. I started in events videos. And then within 2 years, I was making micro documentaries globally for Coca-Cola. I was working on huge campaigns for the YMCA. I was working for Nespresso and Jameson.
Yeah.
I was essentially doing commercials and advertisements online. So that was wild.
The takeaway is just put yourself out there, however uncomfortable, because people go, oh, it might be easy for you because you're confident. Well, there's techniques and there's ways that you can do that. But unless you're willing to put yourself out there, make a phone call, go to that event, send that email, unfortunately, nothing will happen because no one, and again, this comes back to, we're similar, there's no silver spoon. Like, you've got to find it. Go and find it. It's out there if you want it.
I don't know if it's because I'm a dopamine seeker now that I know that I'm ADHD. But putting yourself in these really uncomfortable situations is something that I've always been able to do. And I'm not confident. That's the thing. I was a really shy child, like really shy. I didn't actually speak for about 12 years. And then I just thought, like, this isn't going to work. This just isn't going to work. You just can't not talk. Basically, I put myself in these uncomfortable situations. I remember cold calling venues, and I remember the first few phone calls that I had, and I was like, oh, do you want to film? Like, it was just so awkward and horrible. And of course they said no, because they were like, who's this person at the end of the stage, right? And it's the same with, it doesn't matter what stage you're at. It's the same if you're picking up the phone, cold calling someone for the first time, or you're pitching £1,000 in a room to like a multi-million-pound business. It's exactly the same thing. It's exactly
the same. And I always think you're absolutely right, Jasmine. And, I get cold. My audacity is through the roof, not in an arrogant way. I'm very polite. I'm very kind. I'm very professional. My ethos now is what's the worst that can happen? They can say, not right now. Not right now. Okay, well, I'll try again. I'll try again. So, there's nothing to lose. Okay. There's nothing. And all the while, you're just flexing that muscle. It's like, oh, I've done it once. I've done it twice. I've done it 10 times. And all the while you're doing it. And it just becomes that little bit easier. But I think what we're seeing more of now, and I'm again a strong believer in this, we need to start getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, whether that's questions, whether that's environments. And I know it feels a bit cringe and a bit, oh, this is just not me, but we've got to get into that space. If you want to see change, you will not get change doing the same thing. Unfortunately, you just won't. So obviously you started with the film, started doing the videos, and then where at what point did you know in your early career, okay, well, I'm really quite good at this. I'm good at communicating. I'm good at pitching. I'm good at client relationships. I'm good at creative. Like, where did you just learn along the way?
Yeah, I learned along the way, but I also really it was really external validation, which I know is like not what it should be, I guess. I've learned now, I was quite young when I was running my business. I started my business at 21. In, being in those rooms and landing huge projects and working with, billion-dollar brands and things like that, I just had to keep telling myself, like, there was obviously something that I was doing right.
Yeah, especially from you were the first one to go to university. Nobody else had done this before, and it's
Yes.
like, does shouldn't happen to people like me? But it does.
Yeah,
It can.
yeah.
And I always think to myself, as you were saying, picking up a phone call to a venue to talk about a video, to then pitching for 100 grand's worth of production, it's exactly the same.
It's
Just
exactly
a little bit more cash. It's
yeah.
exactly the same.
And I think I realized quite early on that putting yourself out there like this, you are going to open yourself up to being like critiqued as well. But
Yeah.
you can stay safe
Hmm.
and not talk about your weirdness, not talk about the fact you're like obsessed with Pedro Almodovar at the age of 12, not talk about, all of
Yeah.
bizarre
Yeah.
bits about you, but then you're just going to stay safe.
Exactly, exactly, and safe doesn't unfortunately, it keeps you in the same position and it doesn't move you on, and if that's what you want, that's absolutely
That's
fine.
absolutely fine if that's what you
Yeah,
want. I just knew I
exactly.
didn't want that.
No, no. And it's really quite nice, obviously, that you went in and, you've not, because I just think as well, if you're not in them circles where you're privileged and everyone knows everybody and you're in that circle,
Mhm.
I think that's an advantage to us that we're not in that
Yeah.
because we haven't been doctrinated with, oh, you've got to like this artist or you've got to like this director.
Yeah.
You haven't been influenced and you've just gone in and you've gone, I love this flamboyant Spanish. And they're like, my God, what a breath of fresh air. Similar, I was in musical theatre. I loved singing. I'd never been in a musical. We certainly couldn't afford to watch a musical. And I moved away. I wanted to meet some friends, and we were doing Thoroughly Modern Millie. And I was sat at the back. I only went to meet friends, and I was sat at the back, and this lady said, "Oh, it's a female lead role. Why don't you go for it?" And I was like, "Oh no, what is it? Thoroughly Modern? What is it?
Yeah.
Thoroughly Modern Millie?" And I went. I thought, bollocks to it.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go for it.
Simon
Went in
is
with
so
yeah,
right. Yeah, you're so right. The naivety that comes,
naivety.
like,
I turned up, they were all dressed as Millie. I turned up just like this,
yeah,
my music
but you
sheets, they were
stood
like,
out because of that.
yeah,
Like, that's the thing. And that's part of the 1% edge method as well. It's like you shone through a
yeah,
sea of people who were trying
yeah,
really hard to get this
yeah,
role because
yeah,
you were just being yourself.
yeah. And I did, I got it. I was like, what? What? Never been on stage, sang in a pub, got some gig money, like 50 quid in the pub in on a
Lovely.
Saturday night. I
Yeah.
don't sing in the Lyceum Theatre and have headpieces and what? And it was like, you didn't even have to open your mouth. Truth be told, Joe, you walked through the door, you weren't dressed as the role, you had your music sheets, and that's exactly what Millie would have done because she was just this naive, moved from Kansas to New York City. She had big dreams. You didn't even have to open your mouth, you got the part. And I was like,
My
"What
goodness,
the
that's so cool. I love that
yeah,
story.
but it's in the time I shit myself. Everyone hit. I went, and the irony, I went to meet Freddie all gutted me. I was like, that was just. But in the end, they were like, "It's this girl joined 2 weeks. She doesn't even
Yeah.
look like she wants it. She didn't even learn her lines. She went in with her script music. She
Mhm,
just turned up
mhm.
in her jeans." But very early on, I was like, I've been gifted with a unique energy, with a uniqueness about me, and I've got to lean into that. And I've done that all throughout my professional career. All very well, it's that fine balance of professionalism, and I know that you're a fan of this as well. Personality with profession,
Yeah.
approach, and things. Obviously, we've ventured off, but again, we'll get on to all of this good stuff. Were there moments early on that you thought and questioned? Obviously, you're getting these deals, you've got Nespresso, you've got Coca-Cola, and you're like, God, I'm playing someone else's game here. Like, is this for me? Like, coming back to that imposter syndrome. Did that like stop you in your tracks sometimes? Or did it like, no, that just gave you more momentum?
It gave me more momentum, but I kept coming back to and questioning whether I was on the right path.
Hmm.
So I feel like, and everyone was like, God, you're so successful. You're doing all this. I was speaking on the BBC and Sky News Live and talking about my journey and all this kind of stuff. I just kept thinking in the back of my mind, am I meant to be doing more kind of documentary work? Or
Okay.
because this was a incredible business, very profitable, very successful, but it was corporate. It was video
Mm.
marketing. It was, yeah. So, I mean, it gave me more momentum, but I felt like maybe I was going in the wrong direction. So I
Okay.
kept feeling this like
Pull.
pull. Yeah.
So at what point did you go, okay, this is not filling me with
Mhm.
huge, it's financially it's great and it's serving in that respect.
Yeah,
But what made you go, okay, well,
sure.
because someone will be listening to this, Jasmine, and going, yeah, I've got a stable job, or it's great and it pays the bills, and but I certainly couldn't change direction because that's safe and it pays the bills. And what was your turning point?
I mean, I need to say at this point that I was in business with a romantic partner.
Ah.
So I ran my business with a romantic partner who I realized I was in a very controlling and narcissistic relationship with.
Wow.
And it was a really weird thing where I was almost split into three different directions, really, because I had this business that I loved that had been built around the fact that I was a woman cutting through a male dominated industry with this partner who was controlling and narcissistic and not great. And then I had this side of me that was like, should I be moving into more kind of documentary TV, that kind of area, or even feature films? So I think that after a couple of years, so we ran the business for about 3 years, and after about 3 years, honestly, my body gave in. So my back went. I was literally, this is so weird, isn't it? This is such a classic thing, bending down in the shower and my back went.
Yeah, in the everyday moment,
My
it's
back
gone, well, if you're not gonna rest, I'm gonna rest for you.
Yeah, it was full on. We scaled so quickly and we were managing so many projects. I went to something like, I think it was like 3 continents in 3 weeks for a filming project at one point. So I spent more time on an aeroplane than on the ground filming. So it was a lot and my back went and I spent 2 months in bed, unable to move, unable to do anything apart from really just think about everything that was going on. And the weirdest thing was, I mean, around this time I was 24 and a friend of mine had just had a baby. Hadn't even thought about kids, to be honest, at that age. And I just thought, do I want to have kids with this person? And I felt so viscerally unwell.
Yeah, of the thought of that.
I feel like saying that out loud, my feet are
Sure.
like not okay. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just thought, I have to get out of this situation. Like, I actually have to leave and get out of this situation. So I actually just packed my bags and left.
When you could actually get out of bed.
When I could get out of bed, I packed my bags. Yeah. For a while, I was stuck in bed.
Yeah. How does someone do that? I mean, you are tied not only romantically,
Yeah.
but financially, in business. That is not easy.
No, it was horrendous. It was absolutely awful. I mean, I'm used to shaking up my life and making decisions that are uncomfortable, but this was leaving £200,000 profit in the bank. This was leaving behind the client relationships I'd built up. We
Mm.
had 6 PAYE staff members, 30 freelancers on the books.
Jesus.
The office was in my name. The business was half mine. And the house, the flat we lived in, and
Yeah.
everything was tied up in that. And I just knew that I couldn't be in this situation. And like, all props to my mum. I watched my mum walk away from my dad, right? And he was the breadwinner and she was a single parent. And then she was a single parent of 3 kids under 6. And then she, worked all these jobs to support us. And like,
Love that.
seeing that
Yeah.
strength and resilience and knowing that you can turn your life around, you do not have to be in this situation with this person. I also felt like I'd done it before and I'd do it again. It was a bit like, maybe that was a bit naive too. Who knows? I mean,
Not naive at all. I mean, I think you've only got hope in that situation, haven't you? And it's like, I can only bet on myself here. That's all I've got right now.
yeah.
So,
But I didn't want
so,
anything to do with him. I didn't want the business if it was to do with him. I didn't
and
want.
was it a shock to him? Like, where's all this come from? Was he on the same path, or was it a complete surprise?
I
And
think it was a bit of a shock to him, but I also don't know. It was extremely toxic, the whole
yeah,
thing, so that we didn't speak about it.
yeah. So you walked away and you started again?
I walked away. I had a year-long messy business divorce situation. I went to sleep on my mum's sofa, went back on benefits, and started again.
Oh, you are incredible.
Thank you.
This is what I mean. This is what business looks like. Messy, sad, it's incredible.
Yeah,
Like you've done so, so well. So in that moment, you're rock bottom, really.
yeah, 100%.
The sofa, benefits, what again, where was your thought process then? What do we do now? Is it
Yeah,
still film? Are you still tugging in a different
exactly.
direction?
Exactly. What do I do now?
What do I do? Yeah.
It was like a blessing and a curse. It was like, okay, now I have this opportunity. What do I do? And
Oh, sorry, Tasmin, sorry to interrupt. Did you walk away financially with nothing? So you didn't
I
even
actually
have the
walked away with
financial.
£30,000 worth of debt. So
Okay. You walked away with debt, no asset.
nothing, absolutely nothing, no assets, none of the equipment that we had in the business, which was, I reckon probably about £150,000 worth of filming equipment and editing softwares and computers and, everything that I'd built. Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible. But I knew it was the right thing to do. And I knew that. And my mum and my stepdad, who is also a huge influence of mine, he's amazing, like really just like held me through it and solidified
Wow.
it was the right thing to do. And I ultimately felt so much better. And I then met my absolute bestie slash husband now through this situation.
Okay.
And I remember being so like feeling so rock bottom because I had been like scaling to the moon with like opportunity, right? Like BBC, Sky News, everyone wanted to put me. I was in the Metro, I was in the Standard, I was in getting featured, and I was doing all of this stuff. And then I had to go and get a job at the swimming pool as a receptionist
Yeah.
because, you got to do
Gotta
something.
need money. Girl needs money.
Girl needs money. Anyway, I'm amazing with people and I kind of liked it.
I mean, the receptionist, the stories on there. I mean,
Oh, they were fabulous. So So I
sure.
remember going to work as a receptionist at Liverpool, and I remember thinking I've met this guy, and I remember thinking he's just going to think I'm such a loser. Like he's just going to think like you're what
Yeah.
you doing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and when we got married 10 years later, when we met and we got married, the photographer said, "Can you tell each other your proudest moments of each other?" And he literally said, "When you got a job as a receptionist at the swimming pool."
Knowing what you'd been through prior. I mean, brownie points for him. He knew, didn't
It
he?
it was amazing. And do you know what? In those 10 years, career-wise, I did then explore documentary and I went down independent documentary route, got funded, won awards for my films. They went global. Then I went into campaign management. And so like did a lot of local campaigns that went national, picked up like £250,000 of investment, worked on apps and product development, websites. Like I just turned my hand to
Yeah.
so many. I mean, at one point I was installing cameras on roller coasters in the middle of Holland. It was like,
Yeah, like, "Who am I here? What am I doing here?" But it's pretty cool.
it was amazing. It was amazing. It was such a brilliant experience. And throughout all of it, it was really tapping into my skill set, managing clients, building relationships, working with digital media, content,
Mhm.
and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So you and your husband now, again, you learned from that, romantic and what do they say? Don't mix
Oh,
business with
don't mix
pleasure.
it. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So you didn't do that with new hub. It was very separate. This was just you on your own with that support
Absolutely.
network, being family, but you built up completely independently.
Yes, luckily he's a doctor, so I won't
Oh, okay.
business with him.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, amazing. So, right, the good bit, because we've referenced it a couple of times. So, you obviously that your background is heavily film and production and etc.
Mm.
You're obviously now, well, like I say, you've got a portfolio career. You're lots of different things, but I'd say, what you are like sort of a consultant now.
Yeah, so yeah, and the thing with Jasmine Joan is I started building this after my second daughter. So I had my second daughter in 23, and then I was like, right, it's now or never, going all in, rebuilding. And it has been through like a bit of an evolution of its own. I started off mentoring women within the field that I have been in business.
Oh,
And then I was like, I am really missing the hands-on doing, which is what I'm very good at and what I love. So I essentially am a consultant for small to medium sized businesses and emerging brands in brand strategy and creative direction. So if you're launching anything, if you're got like a big campaign, or if you're just repositioning your brand, then that's the kind of thing that I'd come in and do. And then that's like one side of it. But I've also kept up the mentoring, which I absolutely love. So
nice.
running, the 12-month 1% Edge Mastermind, and sort of consulting in terms of like, hourly one-off. So if you're a female founder and you just want consultancy, then we would sort that out.
Because obviously it's just specifically female founders, Jasmine, right? And is there a reason why you honed in on females in particular?
So the agency side for small to medium sized enterprises and emerging brands is actually anyone. So that's not just for females,
Women.
but for women or non-binary people. That's for anyone. And
Okay.
I've got some brands that I work with who are led by men, but the mentoring and the consultancy is just for women. I just really want to support women, build them up, especially being a woman who did cut through a male dominated market. And I didn't know this until I was putting together a keynote talk that I did last week. But running an agency as a woman is, I think it's like 0.1%
I can believe that.
of women run agencies.
Yeah. Why is that? Why is that? Like, I don't understand where this huge, huge disparity comes from. You're like, we're in 2026. Hello. Like,
I know.
and what do they say? I think, the most successful, profitable businesses on paper, stats, proven, not opinion, are run by women, whether we like it or not. That's what it is. So you've referenced 1% because I want to get into this because I'm really interested in this, the magic. This is where the magic happens. So tell us, and I'm really conscious of time because there's so much to talk about. I could literally talk to you for hours. Tell us everything about this 1% edge method. Where did that idea come from, and what does it actually mean in practice?
Yeah, so I realized when I was putting together the mentoring and the mastermind and the consultancy, that I was refining a kind of method and a framework and something that we could work through. And I realized that I had been doing this method my entire life to essentially like, I hate this term, but collapse time. But so like, as in building a business at 21, turning it into a high multi-six-figure profitable business with billion-dollar brands within 3 years. Launching a local campaign, going global, picking up celebrities and awards and things like that. And now in Jasmine Joan, 18 months old, winning awards. Like, I think I've made something like in year one, I think it was 85K pro rata or something like that. Working 3 days, 2 young kids, all this kind of stuff. So the whole idea of collapsing time, basically.
Yeah, I love that.
And building a business. So I was sort of evaluating everything that I do, and this 1% edge method was born. And essentially there's 4 parts. Well, there's actually 5 parts to the method. There's the edge itself, which is embody, design, ground, and expand. And that's to do with like embodying your position and your authority and brand strategy, and then moving like visual narrative, aesthetic direction, like building it into the ecosystem, and then essentially expanding it. So campaigns and visibility. And so that's sort of what I work through. But the 1% is the most important, I think, thing, and the unique thing that I bring, which is it's micro shifts and moments that make up like basically the psychology of a proposal that you send to a client that puts you in a league of your own, or what you wear or how you pitch or the language shifts that you make. So the way that I can explain this is that when I pitched to a multi-million-pound business, I thought really hard about what I was going to wear and obviously the language I use and all this kind of stuff. But I painted my nails the color of their brand.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if I got signed from this, but it's like the psychology of them potentially not noticing, but also potentially subconsciously noticing and feeling like that is the 1% further
The
magic than every single other person that pitched, unless the other people painted their nails the same color as the brand, right?
No.
So I signed the Prince's Trust from that. Yeah.
And what was part of their feedback? Because surely their feedback you wanna know, and they've gone, you just immersed yourself,
Yeah.
you stood out, like, you knew us better than anybody else, you went the extra mile,
Yeah,
like
all of that. But like these are like the 1% moments are these like 1% in what you wear, how you hold yourself, how you speak, how you're pitching, how you're presenting, what words you're using in the proposals, what images you're using in the proposals. It's also like coming from
wow.
a UX and a UI background as well. When I was doing web
Yeah,
development and apps and campaigns, it's like knowing that psychology says that photos on the I get my left and rights wrong because I'm dyslexic as well. Photos on the left and text on the right actually makes people who come to your website, it makes them feel psychologically safe. So if you're flipping them without a reason, like you're actually making someone feel unsafe on your website. But there is a place and a time for flipping them. So again, like psychology of a sales page, even you would have like the way it's written, who it's for, and you have emotional buyers at the top, and then you have logical buyers at the bottom.
mhm,
And then you have like what's called like a page breaker, which is why in design you have this like massive strip that's like just one word or an image.
yeah,
You need to give that breathing room, right? So it's
yeah.
like what but what is that? Like how literally how is the spacing of the text on your do you know what I mean?
It's literally the finer details, that 1%. It's the best way when I was looking at it myself is, everybody else is 8, we wanna be 10 out of 10. It's that
Yeah.
exceptional, extraordinary attention to detail that makes you stand out. You've literally gone the extra mile. People might go, "Well,
And
how do you find the 1%?" It's like, I wouldn't know. But ho is that 1% edge method giving them the tools to eventually identify what those moments are, and then they can find it and apply themselves.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of learning. So some of the clients that I work with at the moment on a one-to-one basis, like they will literally send me their designs and I will send them back a loop
I see.
that
Yes.
identifies what can be done differently and how we can
Yes.
make it stronger. So if it's working with me in that way, that's what I'll do. But also that's what I bring when I work in the agency model.
So give me some examples, obviously without revealing anyone's name, but just some case and examples of this 1% edge in practice, and even more like some of the results or the impact that it's had.
Oh, put me on the spot now. So I
Mhm.
worked with a woman who runs a digital marketing agency. And when she came to me, she is a six-figure business owner, but she was still pitching like everything was great. It was fine. She was six,
Yeah.
right? But her proposals and her brand strategy, they weren't like screaming like a league of your own. It
Okay.
wasn't like elevating it to the next level. So what we did is we actually redefined her package names. This is like a tiny little example. And from, you know how when you pitch and propose, you're like, this is a starter package, this is the
Yeah.
intermediate,
Yeah.
this is the, whatever. So we changed it to the starter became the petite croissant.
It's like a labeling exercise.
Yeah, and the reason was this whole brand strategy behind the reason why it's called that, which is she was D2C for luxury brands. So she was filming, photography, and digital marketing agency for luxury brands. So we were like, imagine this woman with her handbag and her, you know,
Yeah.
and her all these luxury. She takes photos of handbags and she has like a product based company that she works with, which are notebooks and pens. And she's going to sit down and have her croissant and she's doing all her writing,
Yeah. Gorgeous.
all
Yeah.
this kind of stuff. So like her packages became these types of names. And genuinely within 3 months, she had like quite a dry 3 months. And then she signed 19K within 24 hours of resubmitting all of her
Yeah.
proposals.
So just with these so it's nothing radical or complete throwing everything in the bin.
No.
It's just those fine tuning moments, tightening the bolts,
But it's
adding
across
the support.
it is
Yeah.
across the board because obviously that's one example,
Yeah.
but then it's like how do we like up level your entire proposal? How do we like
Yeah.
do we need to look at the brand strategy? Do we need to look at the creativity that you're
Hmm.
bringing to your business? So
Yeah.
and it's becoming confident enough with that. Like what a weird thing to put out there when you're a woman in business, you're running an agency and you're pitching to these brands and you're going, yes, the petite croissant package. Like what a
Yeah. I love it.
mad like thing way, but like it just works.
Yeah, disrupt. That's your thing, isn't it? It disrupts, it cuts through, but not in a nonsense way, like just because it's a little bit
Yeah,
different.
it
There's
makes
real
sense.
strategical consideration. You obviously that's the 1%. So it's those magical little moments that you go through and identifying where those are and obviously applying them
Mhm.
accordingly. You then have your audacious mastermind program. So this is really your signature. Is it 6 months or 12 months? 6 month programs.
So Audacious is turning into 1% Edge now. But I still love the audaciousness, and I stand by that, and I have a necklace actually that says audacious because I love it so much. Do think in order to get to where I have got to, it is through being audacious. It's
Mhm.
through, like, making those moves. But I've got the 1% Edge 12-month mastermind now, and it's the
Yeah.
reason I've extended it to 12 months is it's term time only, running it term time only.
This program is for businesses to scale or to grow
Yeah.
to this, in your words, this consistent six-figure revenue. So
Mhm.
who's it for and what does it actually look like? What does the process? So I come to you and I go, I need help. Please help me. I want more money.
So the first thing I would do is obviously I would decide whether you wanted a done for you agency model.
Yeah.
But then the 12-month 1% Edge mastermind is more about having a creative director and strategist on hand through your business for the 12 months.
Yeah.
So we it's for established founders already. So I
I
would
see.
say that you are probably like at least kind of earning K per month, if not
Mhm.
10K. And it's essentially like you've got to that point
Mhm.
where your business is good, your business is great even, it's doing really well, but now you're ready to like hit stages or pitch to even bigger brands or just move yourself to like another league of your own. Yeah, so it's really for that kind of founder. So like I did with my client before and
Mhm.
various other clients who I've worked with, it's just moving you into a more consistent amount of
Yeah.
money, but also through positioning and brand strategy.
And are you finding that that founders are recognizing that that's what they need to do, and they're just coming to you to go, I need your help.
Yes. Yeah, and I think people are starting to recognize the benefits. So I've had a few people contact me recently, someone who's established who wants to launch a magazine, for example. Like, they would come on board and we would work with
Yeah.
them on, like, literally everything from, like, the brand
Right.
strategy of the magazine through to launch, and then if they needed that creative direction and that visual element, then that could be done by the agency side.
So when you say audacious, because again, some people might recoil in themselves, going, "Oh my god, that sounds horrific," and be totally put off because, as we know it, audacious is being a bit ballsy and putting yourself out there. What does it actually mean to you? Is it a mindset? Is it a method? Is it both? Like,
It is a mindset, I think. It is just a mindset. It is just balls to the wall, getting out there, like just flipping going for it. So when Amber and I were planning Bold, Brave, and a Little Bit Weird, I was in the lift with Amber and I found out the other man in the lift worked for the Body Shop.
like,
So I was like, do you want to invest in our event? Do you want to sponsor our event? It would be amazing to have you. And this is just me. This is me being audacious. This is how I get stuff done. I'm going to ask everyone I meet. Literally, I've signed clients in the playground before. I've like, but it's from a real place of like, you can say no.
yeah, yeah,
He did say no, by the way, he did. But it's like,
oh,
cool. But I asked you, like
yeah,
that
yeah, 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 and it's a contact,
yeah,
not right now.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it's just getting comfortable with, like you say, just whether it's an email, whether it's a phone call, whether it's having a connection on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
It's you have to put yourself out there if you want to grow, if you want to scale, if you want to change, if you want to evolve. You have to do those things.
Yeah.
How did you know that that was obviously it's now the 1% Edge, but in its original form, you had it as the Audacious program. How did you know that was the vehicle to leverage the program on? Did you feel that is its own unique thing that people need to lean in and leverage?
You mean being audacious?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I realized It's this common theme where people were always talking to me about how much authority I have or how confident I am or how they would never just ask that person or whatever. And I was like, this needs to be a thing. This needs to be
Yeah,
like women, we need to be more audacious. We need to take up
yeah.
space and we need to like be putting ourselves out there, and especially just from my background and my passion of film, and yet film industry being so like
Mm.
male dominated, and then like the agency owners being so male dominated and all of this stuff, and I was just like, I just don't like, we just, you need to become more audacious and take up more space.
Yeah, take up the space. So that obviously you was like, I'm going to build my framework around this,
Yeah.
as you call it, a mindset. And I know that again, doing my research, some of the results that you've shared, when it can be seen as they've literally gone from 1 to 2 leads per week, and from working with you, they've jumped to 5 to 6 leads a week. They've achieved highest cash weeks. They've £20,000 sold out launches. This is stuff works. It shows it works. And I really love that about you, Jasmine, because you put your money where your mouth is, quite literally. It's like, I'm not just saying this shit because it's worked for me.
Yeah.
What I love about you is, look, it's working. Exhibit client A, B, C.
Yeah.
I love that.
Thank you.
I love that. I love it. And I just think, we don't see enough of that. Well, show us the results then.
Yeah.
You're doing a lot of talking, but,
I think
I
it's
love
like
that.
either people love it or they hate it. I think it's very Marmite on that one.
Yeah, but again, women don't talk about money, and
No.
that's a real bugbear of mine, and that's why I love, the women, a lot of women that I follow, Emmy Greedy being one,
Mhm.
she is, we need to start talking about money, being profitable, making money, understanding our worth and our value in monetary terms. So I really, we need to be doing that. So do more of that, posting the results,
I've
as
because I'm
best you can.
also like celebrating my clients as well because
Yeah,
they're the ones that have made it happen. They're the ones that have got these amazing
100.
results, right? So
Yes.
like I'm just showcasing these incredible results that they're having.
We touched on very, very quickly before around personality and business and professionalism
Yeah.
and going against the corporate grain.
Mhm.
And that actually works. And you're proof of that. And this you are, in my opinion, a walking case study of doing business your way. Okay. So the corporate playbook as we know it, suiting up, toning down, especially women, like you can't say that, or be palatable, using formal corporate language. That's not you at all. And I love that. And you completely own it.
Mm.
I think the difference is you own that uniqueness and that going against the grain. And I personally love it. I think we need to see more of it. I feel the old school corporate traditional way is so outdated.
Mm.
And again, I'm trying to spotlight women like you, Jasmine, that go, look, it looks and sounds different. When did you decide to ditch what was the typical rule book?
That's an interesting question. I just feel like I've been ditching it my whole life, to be honest. I
Yeah.
mean, I think the way my brain works is in questions. And
Okay.
so I never understood why I couldn't wear certain things to school or why,
Yeah.
like why I had to do certain things in a certain way. I wasn't a troublemaker at school, but I did get into trouble
Hmm.
because I just questioned everything. Like,
Yeah.
why
Good.
does it have to be like that? But why do we have to,
Love that.
like if I go home and do this, why can't I just do it there? Like, I'm
Yeah.
still going to do the work. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that for me has been like a running theme in my life because I'm like, well, why do I have to wear this? Why do I have to speak like this? Why do I have to like not approach this man in the lift and introduce myself and see if he wants to? Yeah, rule breakers who are just like, but why can't I say this thing?
I love your way of, by asking so many questions, you've gone, well, there's a better way and an easier way and a more efficient way
Yeah,
of doing this.
yeah.
But it seems pretty obvious and simple, but obviously that comes from your question
Mhm.
orientated mindset. Do you think there was a cost to that initially? So again, going against the grain, doing things your way, doing things that not other people have already done before. Did you get pushback? Did you lose clients? Did you feel any of that resistance doing it your way
So
at some points?
like really weirdly and luckily not lost clients from this, but I have lost a lot of confidence at times where I've been like, I have had pushback from peers or like people who I thought were like, business friends or,
Mhm, mhm.
people like that. And that is hard. It is.
Nice, you know? So you talk about 3 personality we talk about
Yes.
personality principles that drive everything in your opinion, values, aesthetics, and storytelling.
Mm.
Can you very quickly walk us through how those 3 work when it comes to personality and business?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you've got your values that you like, your core beliefs that you believe in, and it was actually challenging at times to work with certain high profile businesses because of my values. But the work that I was doing was always on the kind of corporate social responsibility side or things like that. So that for me felt very comfortable. I'm such a sucker for aesthetics because I've actually not employed people or not contracted out to people because they look crap
Yeah,
or because they
yeah,
look boring or because of this and
yeah,
this. And the funniest thing about it is I can actually see through a lot of things to know whether somebody is a talented person.
yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so for
Like a
example,
sixth sense.
yeah, with film, for example, if you sent me a crap film, but I can see that you've got good lighting, or I can see that you've exposed it well, or you've used the right shutter speed, I can see that. I know you're going to be good under the right direction. I know that. But um, when it comes to being a founder in business, like you can elevate your brand so quickly, you can collapse time so quickly in your business with the right aesthetics.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you become, like I say, like in a league of your own, like so creative, so professional that when people land on your page, they are instantly sold.
I'm in the creative industry and people underestimate the role of
Mhm.
creativity in terms of direct impact on the bottom
Yeah.
line. Like it plays a major,
Mm.
major role.
Massive.
And obviously storytelling is the last one as well. So that real storytelling
I
piece.
mean, I've literally won so many awards from storytelling, and
Yeah.
I've won obviously I won the magnetic personal brand last year, but I've also won awards in my previous business for its branding,
Mhm.
and it is all to do with storytelling.
We talking about success very quickly. Success used to be defined, in my opinion, in a very particular way. You were successful if you had a very senior job title in an organization, or the salary that you earned, or the car that you drove, or the destinations you went on holiday. I think that's changing now, and I'm really interested as a business owner yourself.
Mm.
What does success look like to you, Jasmine, now where you are?
Love that question because if you'd asked me that before when I was running the business, on paper it was successful, but I was actually like towards the end of it, I just wanted out of that. It
Mhm.
wasn't successful in terms of my life. But now where I am, success is like earning good money, money that you are worth. So as long as I'm earning the money that I know that I am worth and I'm feeling like worthy, if that makes sense, and valued and helping these people, really doing a good job, working 3 days a week, being able to be flexible, looking after my family. And also just being happy. Like I've loved the last 18 months of business. I set up and started while I was on mat leave. I sort of post some stuff out on Instagram, see what happens. And I love it. I'm loving the journey. I'm loving the ride. It's
Yeah,
unbelievably exciting as well. It's like, oh, what do I want to do now? Where do I want to move
I
now?
love
It's
that.
just so,
Yeah, so there's joy in the unknown.
I love it.
You're finding joy in the unknown,
Yeah.
and I think what's really nice is happy, being genuinely happy. Because you mentioned about, your first business, it was scaling, you were traveling the world, you were winning awards, you were being recognized,
Mm,
but you still had this underlying, "But I don't know whether this is for
yeah.
me," and ultimately, you can ignore it, but it's like a snowball and it gets louder and louder.
Mm,
And again, when you get a little bit older and perspectives change and priorities change, you're like, no, I'm going to go after something that's going to feed my
yeah.
soul, that makes me happy.
And I think
And it's just,
when
yeah, it's great.
when you're from the kinds of backgrounds that we're from as well, like happiness is, I own
Yeah.
my own house, like that.
Yeah. Yeah, is yeah. You're a strong advocate of personal branding. It feeds into audaciousness. It feeds into that 1% about got to put yourself out there. You've got to invest in your own personal brand to make you stand out, especially in today's business world. You've obviously won most magnetic personal brand last year, which is amazing.
They're so important because I won a lot of awards when I was running my previous business, and I sort of was made to believe that they weren't mine
Right.
because I was running it with a partner.
Yeah.
And then I won some awards for my films, which I know I can make good films, and I know, like, it was just, this was totally different. It was like, I've gone out on my own and I've built this brand and I've made my own business out of this. Like, ugh, yeah, it was all me, all of it. Like, that was a real moment for me. I think I actually got off stage and I was like sobbing and shaking behind.
Like they've been recognised for being you.
Yeah.
Like you're winning awards for being you. Do you advocate personal branding? The term flying around now, isn't it? It's like a bit of a trend, but the investment in not only the business,
Mm.
but putting a brand around you as a human in that business is really important right now.
Yes, but there's not always a place for it.
Okay.
So there's some brands that I work with that don't need a personal brand.
Yeah.
But I think that if you're getting to a point in your brand where nothing is working and nothing is changing, you might want to look at a strategy for your personal brand.
What happens for someone who doesn't have a strong personal brand, who may need it? What starts to happen there?
So I can give you a really good example of this because one of my clients recently basically transformed her brand strategy and we did a photo shoot. So I do photo shoots for founders as well. And so she came to me. She's extremely successful. She's been running her business for about 15 years. And she was just starting to see such a drop off in people coming to her sales. People were coming to her webpage as per, but not booking in. It was all
Mhm,
starting to become like very confusing as to what was happening. And it was
mhm.
all personal brand. Like we
Right.
completely transformed her position within the market, which includes, your messaging. And we revamped her website. We looked into her brand colors. We didn't tweak them that much because she's actually an author and she's got loads of stuff like
Love that.
aligned. And I feel like you've got
Yeah.
to take that into consideration as well.
Yeah.
Same name, same everything, but
Mhm.
where are you now repositioning yourself? And the founder shoot that we did was just like a huge elevation of her and her personality rather than what it was before, which was like, nice headshots or
Yeah, bit
yeah.
samey,
And
bit vanilla.
essentially, she later, I think it was like a few weeks after we'd launched everything, she managed to sign 10K with one client. But I will caveat with, and I will say this because I know that she would want me to caveat that this person had not actually seen her new brand, but what it gave her was the confidence
Mhm.
behind to like go forwards and be like, no, this is
Yeah.
my new price point.
Yeah. That elevation.
The elevation is there. They may not have seen it, but the elevation is there.
Yeah.
It is not just when I talk like brand strategy is like here, the aesthetics is here, obviously. It's like everything a personal brand gives you and the elevation of that can sign clients like so quickly compared to if you don't have one.
Because it all comes back down to, I want to do business with that
Yeah.
person or them too. Ultimately, the product could be quite similar and par and par to others,
Yeah.
but what will give you the edge is I want to do business with her.
Yeah,
She
literally.
looks
And if
amazing.
you look like you fit into that category of what your target audience want, then they are going to sign with you. And I stand by visual aesthetics on your personal brand. Like, but obviously that comes from so hard when I talk about visuals because visuals for visual's sake is not going to work.
I'm hearing a lot more conversations around your visual identity is purposely part of your
Yeah.
brand. So, especially for you're quite bold, you're very distinctive, it's very non-corporate. And I feel how you dress up, especially for me, connects how I dress directly connects with how I show
Yeah.
up. If I look good, I feel good, I perform good. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I 100% agree with it. And I think as well through the film industry, when you're doing like costume design or production design or
Yeah.
things like that. Like, there is a reason why someone is dressed the way they're dressed. The confidence that you feel. So for the event last week, I actually had a jumpsuit that was too long. So I have a lady who takes my things up because I'm really short. And she like
Same.
hemmed them. I know. And she hemmed the bottom and she went, I've got these bits left over. What do you want to do with them? I went, can you turn them into a rose that I'm going to put here on the front? And it just gave me like, no one else is going to be wearing like,
Oh, I love that.
yeah. I was just like, no
I
one's
love
wearing
that.
this. I'm like,
And it was pink.
it was pink. Yeah.
I take it your favourite colour is pink. There's a lot of pink clothing going on.
Yeah. I love it. I
I
just
love it.
also really look good in pink.
Yes. And that's it. And I think it's definitely, it's unmistakably yours as well. Like that hot pink, as again, adding that rose to the front, so my style, and people reference
They do.
it. So when I'm even on Zoom calls, they're like, oh, I love that sweater, or I'll wear big sleeves. My signature look is dresses that are big, and they're like, oh, where's this big puffy sleeve number from? And it becomes part of, not only does it open conversations, but people look forward to, oh, what's she going to wear? What's she going to rock up to now,
It was a lot of pressure last.
A lot of pressure.
It was a lot
of pressure.
I wore this
Yeah.
dress to the awards last year, which was amazing. It was like a neon pink, poofy bow, something or other. And then I was like,
Yeah.
what a
There's
big
no non-corporate, like black formal wear dinner dress. It's like, no, you don't need to do that either.
Yeah.
We talked about the rule book before. I could possibly wear a Madonna-esque 80s puffball pink dress. You could.
You could.
Who says you couldn't wear that?
Why not?
It looks pretty cool.
Why not?
Why not? Again, it comes back to your questions. Who even made that rule, and why would you not? I mean, it looks pretty cool. So, I previewed the Unfiltered Female at a female community event in London next to the Gherkin. And I rocked up with gold knee-high boots on, and everyone was like, "You look amazing!"
Oh my God, I love this.
And it was referencing other talks. Like, I totally didn't come prepared. Joe with the gold over knee high boots. Like, they looked cool.
So we need to go for cocktails and dress up.
We totally do. But again, I think the point is I'm trying to make, Jasmine, is, again, we talk about the rule book and leaning into that personality. Dress comes into that as well. Even if it's just like, I haven't worn this cardigan for ages, but it's colour, it's, and I spoke to a colour therapist, Kate, and she talks about the importance of colour and the effect that it has on your mood, your energy, your mindset. So just those little things, especially if you've got a big presentation or a pitch, or you just want a bit of a oomph, put on the bright sweater.
I would say it's the 1% edge, to be honest.
I think my style is part of my 1% because it's always a conversation starter. I go in the office, everyone's like, oh, Joe, I could never wear that. And I'm like, you could. Who says you couldn't wear that?
Yeah.
You referenced motherhood, which I always try and speak to the women who I speak to on Unfiltered Female. Motherhood and ambition. Can we have both? Yes, we can. No, you can't. There's trade-offs. In your opinion, what's your reality, Jasmine? Obviously, you run a successful business now and have done for many years. What's the reality of your balancing motherhood and ambition?
Yeah.
What does that look like for you?
I do think there are trade-offs, unfortunately.
Okay.
But
yeah.
But not in the way that we're like sacrificing everything and trading.
No.
Like, I don't. It's not that bad to have that balance and that trade-off, as it were.
Yeah.
The reality is that if I didn't have children, I would have been able to scale a lot quicker because I would have had more time and I would have had more energy and I would have a bit of clarity, right? I recognize I've still collapsed time. I've still made K Pro Rata in this year. I've still won awards. I've still had 20K launches, all of these amazing things. But the hardest thing about being a mum and running a business is actually balancing like the ambition you have in your brain with the actual reality and the time that you have.
So how did you still manage to do 6-figure turnovers and being profitable? How did you manage to do that? It may take a little bit longer, but How do you do that? Is it the trade-offs and things that sometimes you can't do nursery pickup or
But it's just really challenging. I mean, I'm so lucky. I've got my parents live 20 minutes in that direction, and my in-laws live
yeah,
20 minutes in that direction, and they are
yeah,
so helpful. If I,
yeah.
right now I'm having this conversation with you because my sister lives 10 minutes down the road, and I dropped off my little girl down the road.
Oh.
Um,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and that for me, I mean, I'm incredibly lucky because without family support, I
Sure.
wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing. So actually,
Yeah,
I do think there is something to be said for the support element of it. Without Sam's support as well, my husband, like most of the time, I'm actually solo parenting because he's a shift worker. So there'll be weeks where I'm by myself with my kids because he's on night shifts or something like that. But then there'll be weeks where he's off and he'll take everything, so we'll just swap round in those roles.
I think for me, I love the boys see me work and I'm very open. So, I'll say to my boys, Mummy can't pick you up from school today because Mummy's got a big meeting and keep your fingers crossed for me. And I want them to be part of it. And,
Yeah.
so they'll say to me after school, how did your meeting go, Mum? Did you get it? And I'm like, yeah, I got it. I'm so excited. Like, they love the work that I showed. And
Yeah.
I want them to see me like, going after my ambitions and my dreams and working hard. I want them to be part of that. And sometimes mummy can't be,
Mm.
well, it's very, very rare that I'd miss a show. I never miss the Christmas. It's about, but I can't
That's
make
the
every
trade-off.
school
Like,
pick up.
it's
That's okay.
that is the trade-off, isn't it? Like, you can't make all of them, but you'll make some of them.
Yeah. I prioritize.
The other way round, there's a good trade-off. Like, you can do
Yeah.
like, I went to some kind of teddy bears picnic on a Thursday afternoon, like, you can
Yeah.
do that,
Yeah. But, by me not picking them up on a Tuesday afternoon is not going to be detrimental to their mental health. It's like, mummy, oh my God, she didn't pick me up on Tuesday. But I will pick you up on Friday and we'll be really fun and it makes it more enjoyable as well because I've got dreams to chase and I've got ambitions to do, but that doesn't make me less of a mother. So I just think it's constantly just tuning in, going, well, it's a girl at work and she goes, at any one day, you'll either be an amazing career girl and maybe not the best mum, but on day two, you could be the most awesome superpower mum and not, and work not so. It's you can't be everything to everybody. And
That's
I
the
found
trade-off.
such
Yeah,
comfort in that.
yeah, exactly.
And
And
I think you
once
just have
you've
to ease the pressure
Yeah, well, it's
100%.
interesting what you're saying about your boys because I love showing my girls, like, that I'm doing
Yeah.
this. I love it. And, like, I, in particular, love the fact that I've got girls and I'm bringing them up to show them that I'm doing something that's, like, cutting through the male-dominated industry. My husband's a pediatrician, and there's not many men who do, like, pediatric work. So he's doing it on the other side, and I love that. Yeah.
Your business and mummy bestie is the brilliant Amber, which I referenced earlier, Butsy CEO, and I can't wait to have her on because you're both just amazing. And I'm gutted I missed the event last week. I would have been there.
Next year.
We're friends now. We're going for cocktails and we're wearing pink dresses and gold knee-high boots all the way. But I think it's really important to surround yourself with people who want you to win, who are completely aligned with your thinking, where you're going, and who generally want to see you win.
Mm,
Your friendship with Amber is lovely to see. Why does it matter so much to you in business to have that allyship and that
mm.
sisterhood in business?
Yeah, I mean, my friendship with Amber is actually unbelievable. Like, when we put our heads together, we make magic happen. It is
Love it.
actually wild.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing is that when I first met Amber, it was because we were mums. We live 10 minutes down the road from each other. We both
Oh
have
my God.
2 daughters who are under the age of
Yeah.
5. And I met Amber because I asked her, like, what she was doing in this industry and whether it's something that maybe I could do with my skill set. Like, could I coach or mentor women having run this business, having been this filmmaker, all this kind of stuff. And I met her and I just remember actually sobbing to Amber because I'd been so badly affected by the relationship that I was previously in. I just didn't want to show up. So 18 months ago, I
Mhm.
didn't want to put my face online. How wild is that?
Mm,
Like, really
that's
didn't want to
crazy.
be seen at all.
Yeah.
And it's a testament to having someone in your corner, having a business bestie, someone that you can, like, we're not I actually hired her as well for as my first coach, and
Mhm.
she's now hired me as her creative director for her latest brand shoot. So
Wow,
it's work like we're not taking the on each other's time and
no,
skill set, but we have each other's backs and we want each other to succeed.
yeah, there's room for everybody.
Yeah, there is room. And I have an amazing mentor at the moment. And when I was talking to her about the agency side of my business, she runs something similar. And I said, oh, but I think what if I'm just copying your model or something? And she went, there is enough space for all of us to be doing this. We're different people, you know, da, 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 da. And I
Yeah,
was just like, yeah, you're right. Like, there is enough space. Like, I
yeah,
so want her to succeed and she so wants me to succeed, and we actually raise the bar for each other, which is amazing.
yeah. And my next question is, how do you find these people? Because people might go, I'd love some sisterhood. I'm really lonely. I'm out on my
Yeah.
own. I've got no one in my corner. But again, you just said, I just asked her the question, go to the same playground. And again, there's your questions again.
I
It's
actually
like,
messaged her. I messaged her from a group forum on WhatsApp that we've got in the
mhm,
local area about mums, and I was like, "Heard you doing this thing. Do
yeah,
you want to go for coffee?" So like,
love
I
it.
will always message people, and I think my piece of advice, and I've done this recently as well because I hosted my first ever day retreat last week as well. It was
I saw that.
10 women in one space. Everyone walked away with like clients, discovery calls, like biz besties. It was just such a like magnificent room. Everyone was crying at one point or another as well. Like, but it was really beautiful. I mean, everyone signed up for the next one. And these are the
Wow.
kinds of rooms and spaces that you should be putting yourself in. Now, I know for a fact that there was at least 2 people in that room that didn't want to leave the house that morning. That was so low in confidence, like, is this room right for me? Do I like, I'm gonna meet these people, like, what if they, like,
Oh,
don't get me? What if they don't understand my business? What if, all this kind of stuff. And in fact, both of them have signed clients now since the event and the VIP mastermind day.
yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
you've just got to, like, if you want that sisterhood, if you wanna put yourself out there, you just have to put yourself out there.
Yeah, go to events in real
Yeah.
life and start to build that allyship
Mhm.
because, you can't do things you just can't do things on your own.
No.
You talk about that, especially on a business journey, it is very up and down. It's not for the faint-hearted, as we know. It's often referred to as the messy
Yeah.
middle. So things feeling a little bit weird, as you say, especially when you're on your own, you've no one to talk to. It's that really
Yeah.
uncomfortable period in
Agree.
business where you're putting in the work, but maybe the results aren't quite showing yet. Have you been there? Have you had that messy middle? And I'm sure it's not just one period where it's like, I've had it now. You've got to get comfortable with it and move through it. It's temporary.
It's constant evolution. Like, if
Okay.
you stand still, your brand and your positioning is going to, like, slip so far down. You're not meeting the competition. You're not, like, becoming innovative. You're not becoming creative and pushing through, right? So you constantly need to be evolving, which means putting yourself in these, like, messy middle
Mhm.
situations, or the other thing is the liminal space, which is like the artistic term for it. You probably know that maybe. So it's like putting yourself in these situations where you're like, oh, this is the messy middle. It's really uncomfortable. I'm doing this thing. I don't quite know what I'm doing, but it's going to work. And
Yeah,
maybe it's not. Or the liminal space, like being like, oh my God, there's so many like creative thoughts and I don't know what. Anyway, it's
yeah.
just a constant evolution. And it was the same when I was running my business before. It was just so fast paced. It was like
Mhm,
messy middle
mhm.
20.
Really? And how'd you get through that though? So for any women listening going, I'm in that right now. I'm doing all of this work. I'm seeing no results. I don't know what my goal is. I don't know whether I'm cut out for this. What would you say to them in that
2
moment?
things, like, one, I'm a huge fan of EFT tapping, so I actually do you know EFT tapping? It's basically like tapping here, it's like tapping on these specific points whilst you repeat certain affirmations,
Okay.
and it's becoming more and more popular, but it's like a way of calming your nervous system, regulating yourself, and when I have done EFT tapping for sales, I've had huge results.
Ooh. Wow.
Huge results. So, and I'm not like, I hate saying, "Oh, tapping led to this amount of money," because obviously it's a whole thing. But tapping gave me the confidence and the nervous system regulation. to sign, like, I went to France on holiday and I had a 14.5K sales week just while I was on holiday, you know? And that was the kind of like out of the ordinary results I was getting from tapping daily. So I'm a huge fan of tapping. And like what comes with that is what I say, holding the stair. And holding the stair is basically literally holding the stair. Like you're moving in the right direction. You know what you're selling is
Okay.
good. You've worked so hard on this offer. You just got to hold the fucking stair now. Like, you just got
Yeah.
to like move forwards. You might not be seeing results right now, but results will come.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm gonna so if there's anything you can share on the tap-ins, there's a couple of things obviously we'll share from a resource and tool, so it's like tangible
Mhm.
resources and things. The tapping one might be quite nice if you've got anything on that. And holding the stair because, with the unfiltered female, I've got big, dreams, ambitions of where I want to take it and storytelling and, because essentially it is business conversations, but I want it to look and sound different. I want it to like, oh, them girls look like me. I want to be part of
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
those cool girls and stuff. And I'm holding the stair and I've got that vision, and you just think it will pay off. It will pay off. Just gotta, as you say, what is it? Hold the
Hold
stair.
there.
Hold,
Lots of my
hold the
clients are
stair.
like in messy middle moments as well. It is so hard. It's difficult on your nervous system. The only difference between like what I can see of myself and the people that I work with is that I've literally been doing this since 21. Like,
Yeah.
I
So it's like second
it's
nature.
like second nature. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I didn't sign anyone again this week.
Yeah.
Fine, because something will land in. I also have this saying
Yeah.
at
Yeah. Yeah.
home that I tell my husband all the time, and it's called the universe will provide.
Yeah, I love that. I'm the same. My husband's like, "You're so woo-woo." I'm like, "It will. It'll be fine. Don't worry. It'll all work out."
Don't worry, we'll get a loft extension.
Yeah. And he's like, "How? How the fuck are we gonna do that?" I'm like, "Don't worry, the universe will
Yeah,
provide."
not sure yet. The universe will provide. If I keep
Come on,
like
universe. Come on. I've bigged you up.
right, if I keep being me, if I keep making these moves, if I keep like just doing what I do best, the universe will provide.
I generally do. And again, it feeds into that whole manifestation, visualization, the holding, putting the work in, being true, just being persistent, and it will pay off.
On the EFT tapping thing, actually, you were talking about resources. Inside the positioning and messaging training that I have, the free one, there is an EFT tapping in there.
Amazing. So if you could maybe share that link and I'll whiz that out on an exercise
Mm.
or an outline of something, we can share that post this conversation. So just to obviously close, if there is any woman watching this or listening in to this episode, and in your opinion, what would be the one that you'd want them to take away from this conversation and act on? What would that be?
I guess it would be like taking those audacious steps,
Yeah.
like really putting yourself out of your comfort zone on a daily basis.
Okay.
So, like Amber and I have spoken about this before, and the way that we've both moved the needle so quickly in our business is we write down one thing that scares us to do every single day.
Okay, so it's not just a one-hit wonder, like, "Okay, I've done that now. Why is nothing happening?" It's like, "No, you've gotta
No, like
keep
what's the
going."
like one thing every single day that's going to scare you? And that could be going live on Instagram. It could be reaching out to someone who you've been like,
Okay,
keeping an eye on that you want to pitch to. It could be like saying yes to that mentor that you want to work with. It could be like all these tiny little moves though are going to build this like huge momentum for your business
okay. So, but again, it's that just being a little bit audacious, going out of your comfort zone, and that's ideally on a
on a
daily
daily basis.
basis.
Yeah.
On a daily basis. But I want women to not feel like they have to put a facade on anymore. Like we're done with that. It's proved not to work. So being unfiltered and having the conversations and telling those truths
Mm,
that others aren't brave enough to have, like you've shared some really bold truths and, that, yeah, I was on a sofa and I was seeking benefits and I did have to take a receptionist job and, I did have to speak to people in lifts even though it felt uncomfortable. I've
mm,
had to do all of those things. So if I can do it, so can you.
yeah.
Like anyone can do it. I think it's just encouraging. I really want women to encourage that you need to drop the masks, drop the facade, and have this more unfiltered version of ourselves that show up in business. I think so. Really, what does that look like for you? I
I
guess.
think it just looks like doing what I'm doing because
Yeah.
am really an open book. There's so much of my story that I haven't even shared, and because it's massive. And
Yeah.
I think for me, because I am an open book, because I share so much, it's now getting like really, it's really thinking like, what's the uncomfortable thing to share? And I actually shared something today or yesterday that I felt really uncomfortable sharing, which was around coming across as arrogant. And because I'm so authoritative and I do talk about my achievements a lot, I was thinking like, actually, people just think I'm arrogant. And that for me felt uncomfortable because I thought, oh my God, maybe I am arrogant. And then I was like, do you know what? No, like I'm just going to move forwards in the way that I am and that I have been doing. But I'm also going to highlight that even more.
Yeah.
Because I don't talk about the fact that I do shout about my achievements. I shout about my achievements, but I don't talk about the fact that I shout about my achievements.
Well, because we're programmed not to. It's like, don't get too big, especially women, don't get too big for your boots. And, oh, she thinks she's made it now. It's like,
Yeah.
no, what I'm doing is working and it's successful. And I want to share
Yeah.
it. I want to share others to win
Yeah.
too.
I think I've only just, well, not only just realized, but I really have landed on this thing of like, wow, so many people come to me with like maybe low confidence or like confidence, but they can't share it. They can't put that out there because they're so scared. And they're like, you are really like good at like showcasing everything that you've done. And I'm like, yeah, like you can do it too. Like, yeah.
True.
So yeah.
It's giving people that confidence, as you say, to go, you can do this. This is no magic superpower that I've got. It's again giving people the tools and the advice and the support to go, it's all there. You've just got
Yeah.
to see it
And
and show it.
loveliest things that some of my clients have said recently is they're channeling their inner Jazz.
I love that. What would Jazz do?
Just becoming really audacious and talking about what
Yes.
a fucking big deal you are.
Yes.
Like she's like, I wrote a post and I channeled my inner Jazz. Like, what do you think? And I'm like, well, I do think it's good, but you could like also put in that you've like won all these awards and done all this.
Yeah, just notch it up a little
Yeah.
bit. What notch it up a little bit. So to close out, obviously we've talked on Amber. You've done this incredible event which looked amazing. So for anyone that hasn't, you've obviously dedicated a whole Instagram
Mm,
page and profile to it. Let me reference it. It's
brave,
bold, brave, and
weird.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's again this empowerment, women coming together, real life events, and then just again trying to shift perspectives and mindsets.
Mm.
Is that the whole essence of it?
Yeah, bold, brave, and weird has been an absolutely phenomenal movement. I think we didn't even realize what we were creating at the time. So we had this concept, this idea of teaching people brand marketing and sales, but from a
Mhm.
place of being their truest, weirdest self. So like infusing their personality and still signing clients. So we
Yeah.
sort of came up with this idea. We thought, let's just put it out there. Maybe like a few people will come. Was completely sold out by the end of it. We got sponsorship. We had like weird performances throughout the talks. And it was really strange moments. We're delivering these talks on like, for example, I was talking about the 1% edge method and how people can utilize that. And Amber's talking about how you can become more confident. And, she's an accredited coach. She did some coaching with the people who were there. We had these incredible speakers. And then we just started singing happy birthday to ourselves with a cake. And
Because you can.
because we can. And we also had the Pussy Witch, aka Emma, who was doing manifestation through your clitoris, dressed as a cat.
We need more of this.
Like we just wanted
Yeah.
it to be like it's not a conference.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
it's a whole thing. I mean, at one point we were all just like raving to Paramore, like full blast.
Yeah.
55 women in a space, just being themselves. So, yeah, so we've set up an Instagram. Come follow us. And
Yeah.
we were already being asked when we're going to do it. Somebody wants us to take it to Paris. Somebody else was talking about investment. So yeah, it's become this like huge thing. And I'm like,
Yeah. People want this, don't they? And they're like, God, if I can be more myself and instead of trying to be something I'm
yeah,
not, people are obviously signing up for that,
yeah,
aren't they? And obviously, just as well as the events, the real life events and things, you've got your power play program. So I'm presuming that's a mix and a lovely complementary mix of both of your skills
yeah,
together.
it's a fusion. So it's a 6-week fusion for
Okay.
essentially for the person who feels like they're doing well and they have a brand, but they're ready to
Mhm.
like absolutely like smash their personal branding out of the water, like infuse their personality gutsy, you know, turn themselves from Amber J into the gutsy CEO who's like going viral. You know, it's about messaging and content, but also brand marketing, essentially. So
Yeah,
there's two phases. There's phase A with Amber and phase B with me, but obviously we talk and we're together. So
I
like
see.
3 weeks with her, 3 weeks with me, and a Telegram group with questions throughout as well. So
Love that.
it's just a 6 weeks transformation, become like award-winning, magnetizing personal brand.
And that's already live now. So again, any women just wanting a little bit more information
Yeah.
around, because obviously that's a much short-term program in comparison to the 6 and the 12-month programs. This is 6 weeks, intentionally 6
Yes.
weeks, you know, hyper-focused, 2 for the price of 1, essentially.
Yeah.
So again, that's why. So any women wanting to hear more about that, we'll put some links and stuff in so people can know a little bit more about that. Whilst we're talking about Amber, one of the features that I do have on the Unfiltered Female is we reach out to your nearest and dearest in business and get them to share a little few notes. Obviously, the obvious choice was Amber. So I was like, Amber, can you just say a few words about your mate Jazz?
go on.
And she's like literally did it in like seconds. So I'm gonna obviously play it now. Hopefully you can hear it. But I just think it's really lovely. It's hard, it's lonely sometimes. And I just think sometimes words of encouragement and compliments is sometimes what we all need in the world. So I'm hoping this plays. I'm going to put it up right to the speaker. So I'll play it now.
Jasmine is absolutely fabulous. She is super weird, obsessed with cats and anything strange, but she is also just so incredibly creative and talented. And she has an eye for things that most people do not see. And she's able to create absolute magic with visuals and set design. And when we were putting on the event and she was supporting particularly with setting up the space, I've never seen anything like it. She was so on the ball. She was assertive. She knew exactly what she wanted. Everyone was putty in her hands. So I am obsessed with Jasmine. I'm in awe of her. She is one of the most talented women I've ever met, but she's also a total bloomin' freak. And she squeaks every so often, which I love.
So that was, I mean, I want to know more about the squeaking. I mean, that's maybe another episode, maybe.
Oh,
Cats and squeaking.
well, I am obsessed with cats, completely obsessed with cats. Like all my mugs are cats. I like will dress as a cat. I've got 2 kittens. They're amazing. I take them out on a lead. Like I want to be the lead lady. I took one of the cats to drop off my daughter to school the other day. Yeah, I don't care. I want to be that person. The squeak is actually Tourette's.
Is it? Wow. I love how you own it as well. It's like, yeah, that's just part of me again.
But no
That's
one
what we
will ever
get.
know because it comes when I'm not doing things like this.
I could talk to you. All the women I speak to are so bloody bold and brave and fabulous and doing some incredible things. Please keep paving the path of doing things differently. You're doing amazing. You're inspiring so many women. And it's exactly why this conversation series exists, to spotlight women like yourself. I think you're a true testament, Jazz, in terms of don't let your background define you. I think we're both testament to that. Don't let it define you. In fact, use it as your fuel. Use it as your fuel. Use it as your 1%, that you're not the same as everybody else, and use it to your advantage. There is magic in that 1%, in those small moments. Be audacious, and that is a mindset. So it's just about getting uncomfortable with it, putting yourself out there if you do want to change and evolve. How you dress is super important, that style to elevate, all of these lovely things. Yeah, it's just rich with so much goodness, and I can't thank you enough. I will be at one of your next events for all the cat content, for all the squeaking, for all the happy birthday. I just love it, and please just continue doing what you are doing, because it's amazing.
As I say, thank you so much, Jo. My cheeks actually hurt from like smiling so much throughout this conversation. I just didn't tell you now, like.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Have a gorgeous weekend, and I will continue to follow your fabulous content.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Thanks, Jazz. Bye.